Hello, and welcome to the first full episode of the Dan Regan Hypnotherapy Podcast, brought to you in association with Spotted in Ely. It's great to have you here, and thank you very much for joining me. Now, if you're listening to this, the chances are that anxiety has been playing a bit of a part in your life. It may be something that's quite quiet in the background, or it could be something that is very loud and very prominent and taking over right now. So to start helping you, in today's episode, I want to do 3 simple things. Firstly, I want to help you understand what anxiety actually is, because that's very important in terms of being able to deal with it and move past it. Secondly, we're going to explain why it can feel so persistent or overwhelming. And thirdly, I want to guide you through one simple technique that you can start using right away to start calming your mind and body. So with that in mind, let's get right into it and start understanding what anxiety is all about. Because in many ways, anxiety is one of the most misunderstood experiences that we can have. It covers a whole multitude of thoughts, feelings, behaviours, all round up in that one word, anxiety. Many people who come to see me are worried that means if they've got anxiety, maybe they've been diagnosed, maybe they're just experiencing those thoughts and feelings and behaviours, that they think there's something actually wrong with them. Maybe they're weak, or they're broken, or they're losing control in some way. Many people worry about what is going on with anxiety. That means they worry even more and experience even more anxiety. But here's the thing, anxiety isn't a flaw by any means. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's a natural response created by the brain aiming to keep you safe. Your mind's job is to scan for danger and to do whatever it takes to keep you safe. It's our survival response. It's built into us. It's hardwired into us. It's been there throughout our evolution, and we still respond in the same way as when we lived in caves and threats were going to attack us and kill us. Because when your mind perceives something, it might be a threat. It could be a situation, a person, a thought, even a physical sensation. It activates the body to protect you. And that's why anxiety often shows up as those racing thoughts that go through your mind over and over, jumping from one thing to the next. You might get physical tension, tight chest, dizziness, people feel sick, their heart races, a whole sense of unease and discomfort that you can't quite explain. But the important thing to know about all of this, anxiety and all the things that you experience, is that although anxiety can feel uncomfortable, it's not dangerous, it's not harmful, you're medically safe, and it very much is manageable. Your mind is just firing off and overprotecting you in situations where actually you don't need to be doing that, because logically you know there is no danger. Whereas when we were living in caves, threats were going to harm us and kill us. These days it's often our perceptions, our worries about what might happen, and the worst cases, the catastrophizing, what we think other people will think, our self-perception and so on, all lead to your brain going, this is a threat, firing off your fight or flight response, and you experience all those unwanted racing thoughts and all those uncomfortable physical sensations. But really do keep in mind, anxiety might feel uncomfortable, but you are still safe. You are designed to experience these things. It's just that it's happening in an unpleasant way. It's overfiring, your mind's overprotecting you, and it's happening in unfamiliar situations where there is no need to act to keep yourself safe. And that very much leads us to the next question of, why does anxiety sometimes hang around even when there's no real danger? You know logically that these things aren't likely to happen the way you're perceiving them. You know you're safe, yet still the anxiety and the thoughts and the feelings take over, feels uncomfortable, and generally just gets worse and worse, because the more anxious you feel, the more it fuels feeling even more anxious. You worry about whether you will get anxious, so even when you're calm you are worried, and that whole loop and cycle gets stuck. Because anxiety does tend to get stuck because of this loop. So you have a thought, what if something goes wrong, or a worst case scenario, what if that person thinks that around me, what if I'm judged negatively, and so on. That thought then leads your body to perceive it as a threat, so you get the physical sensations so that you're ready to deal with the threat. And so you breathe faster to take in more oxygen to your body. Your heart beats faster, the blood, the oxygen, the adrenaline all goes to your muscles. You might feel hot, you feel restless, you just want to get out of there, you might feel trapped. All these sensations start to build up because your brain is getting you ready to fight something, to run away from something, even though there is nothing to fight and nothing to run away from. That then leads all that feeling, all that emotion. Then your brain starts treating it like, well, there must be a threat because I feel even more anxious now. So you get even more of those worst case scenarios, even more catastrophizing. And also your mind starts to react to the sensations. Like, why is my heart doing this? This feels uncomfortable. There must be something wrong with me. And that whole loop, thoughts leading to feelings, leading to more thoughts. You start avoiding things. You don't want to do things. You want to escape escape from things, but all that reaction adds up to more fear, which creates more physical sensations, which reinforce and adds to more thoughts, which means you start to worry about it happening even when it's not happening, and suddenly anxiety feels like it's just everywhere. And often what people do is they either try to fight their anxious thoughts and feelings, or maybe they start avoiding things, or they start to seek reassurance either from themselves or from others. And while all of that makes sense and provides some sort of immediate relief, if you avoid that situation, then you don't get the anxious feelings. What it does, though, is it actually teaches your brain that anxiety is something to fear. Those things are things to fear because you're avoiding them. You won't go near them because the emotions are too great. And that just keeps that underlying cycle going. And because we're creatures of habit, pattern and repetition, the next time a similar thing comes along, lo and behold, all the same thoughts, all the same feelings, all the same behaviors kick back in, and it's like you're right back there with the anxiety. Now that can be if it's a particular situation, maybe public speaking, maybe flying, those kind of things that I help people with here in Ely. It could be, though, that the anxiety is much more general now. So there's the anxious thoughts and feeling sensations when you're in the anxiety, but also the thoughts about it happening, the what ifs, the catastrophizing the worst case, and then after things, just dwelling on it, because you avoided stuff, what other people think, because it didn't go well, because you experienced all that stuff. And understanding how anxiety works is very powerful, because it means anxiety isn't random and it isn't permanent. It's a cycle that you get stuck in of thoughts, feelings, behaviors. Now, in many areas of your life, you have these thoughts, feelings, behaviors that go different ways. Things things you just get on with, things you enjoy. So we're using normal psychological processes, but to counter anxiety, we need to start changing how we use those processes. We don't need magic ingredients. We don't need things outside of ourselves. We just need to learn how to manage thoughts, feelings, behaviors in more constructive ways, like you do in moments when you feel good or you feel happy or you look forward to things or things are just okay. It's very possible to get to that point by deliberately starting to nudge and tweak away and put the right things in place that will help you to alleviate anxiety. Now, in my work with people in Ely and the surrounding area, when I help them with anxiety, I'm always very keen that they learn techniques, simple techniques that they can use anytime to start calming feelings, interrupting thoughts. Now, that's beneficial both when they're going through their therapy for anxiety in terms of alleviating it and maximizing results and getting better quickly and feeling better quickly. But also it means that in the future, if you understand how your mind works and you can interrupt things, you have strategies, techniques, you can do things proactively to mean that it's much less likely that you experience future anxiety. But if you do start to notice things, you can interrupt it and nip it in the bud, because you know how your thoughts work and how feelings work and how to put patterns in place that support you. And with that in mind, I want to share one simple technique with you today that you can use anytime anxiety shows up. Now, this isn't about stopping anxiety instantly, completely, forever. It's about starting to nudge things in the right direction that you can build upon and that I'll be adding into through these podcasts. It's about sending your nervous system a message that you are safe and a message of calmness so that things start to settle and you start feeling more at peace and more at ease and calmer in yourself. So let's start. And if it feels comfortable, gently place your feet on the floor. Allow your shoulders to drop and just ease off any tension that might be hanging around in your neck, your shoulders. Just roll them a little bit. And then I want you to just take a slow breath in through your nose. And then just gently breathe out through your mouth. And then breathe in again, just calm and steady. And then just after a little pause, just breathing out slightly slower. And what you're aiming to do is just get a nice regular rhythm, breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth, and just extending that out breath a little bit. And as you continue breathing like this, inside your mind, just calmly, in a reassuring, natural, calm voice, just silently say to yourself, "This is anxiety. It's uncomfortable, but it will pass." So as you breathe it in and then breathe it out, just extending that out breath a little bit. And as you continue breathing in that way, just silently say to yourself in a calm, balanced tone of voice, "This is anxiety. It's uncomfortable, but it will pass." And you're not trying to force calm. You're just allowing your body and your mind to just settle. And even practicing this for 30 to 60 seconds, a few times a day, just periodically when you get a moment. In the car, while you're waiting for the kettle to boil, watching telly, there last thing at night, there just in those moments where you just get a slight pause, breathing in that calmness. breathing out, extending that out breath, and just reminding yourself, just reassuring yourself, just silently saying to yourself, this is anxiety, it's uncomfortable, but it will pass. And as you just keep responding in that way, just calmly and consistently, you're just weakening the grip that the power the anxiety has over you. And it's one of those things, like I say, it's not a fix for absolutely everything instantly. It's something you start to introduce gradually, both proactively and reactively, to build up, to get more and more used to it. It becomes more habitual, but also then you can start to add some of the things we'll talk about in other podcasts, in other sessions, where there are lots of strategies for managing thoughts, feelings. This is just one way to start nudging in that direction. It's just simple, it's basic, but it's helpful, and it works with how your body works, and it just calms things down a bit. And do be sure to let me know how you get on with that one. So thank you very much for joining me today. And today we've covered three key things. We've covered anxiety as a natural response. It's not that something is broken or something that's wrong is you. It's just that you get caught in unhelpful cycles of thoughts, feelings, behaviours that just get stuck and repeating because your mind's doing too much. It's protecting you from threats that you know logically aren't there, which is a good thing because it means we can change those things. We know that anxiety sticks around because of that cycle between thoughts and sensations that repeats and repeats and becomes more habitual, more automatic, and that scares you, frightens you, and that adds to all of it as well and fuels it. And we know that small, calm responses can begin to change that cycle. In the next episode, we'll look more closely at overthinking and worry and how to stop getting pulled into those endless what-if loops. And if this episode was helpful, you might have to follow the podcast so you don't miss future episodes. You'll be able to find them on the Spotted in Ely website, or you can find them on Spotify or even on the Dan Regan Hypnotherapy in Ely website. Thank you for being here. Please do send me your feedback. I want to make these podcasts as useful as I can to you. But hey, I've got to start somewhere, right? And remember, anxiety does not define you. You're already doing something positive just by listening. So you take care of yourself, and I will catch up with you next time. You take care.